Roda Ngonzi Jananopori will be joining us in a bit in sign language. Let's get started. President Yoweri Museveni has called for blocking all ways and causes of disability, adding that the number of people with disabilities should not grow beyond 4.4 million of the national population. The president was speaking during national celebrations to mark the International Day for People with Disabilities at Kamwenge Primary School grounds in Kamwenge district.
Uganda yesterday joined the rest of the world to commemorate the International Day for People with Disabilities. The national venue for the celebrations was at Kamwenge Primary School grounds in Kamwenge district, western Uganda. The celebrations focused on the theme, "Employment of persons with disabilities is key to sustainable and resilient society for all." According to the National Population Census of 2014, the population of people with disabilities in Uganda stood at 4.4 million people. During the celebrations, various people with disabilities, both young and old, hailing from various districts and unions and the national umbrella organizations, displayed a variety of commercial and income-generating products like handcrafts, fabrics, artwork, assistive devices, among others, to depict that disability is not inability. They also showcased different presentations of entertainment. In his speech, President Museveni called for blocking all the ways and causes of disability, adding that the number of people with disabilities should not grow beyond 4.4 million of the national population.
Disability report, the one you are referring to, but I hope the disability report includes managing the present disabled, but also blocking channels of new disability.
Addressing himself to the issue of employment opportunities for people with disabilities, President Museveni highly commended the excellent performance of some elements of people with disabilities in society, emphasizing that disability has nothing to do with working. He observed that Operation Wealth Creation Program at household level is another method using the line of special grant from the government.
The better method of employment for the disabled would be self-employment, because there you don't have to have a tug of war with employers who want you to do this and they demand too much from you.
The president called for establishment of more vocational training institutions with emphasis on equipping people with disabilities with the relevant skills. He remarked that when the National Resistance Movement government took power in 1986, it instituted affirmative action, gender balance and women emancipation that has so far resulted in the introduction of slots of representation in parliament of women, the youth, the disabled, soldiers and workers.
When we came, we brought a new approach. We said no. So we put aside food for the women. Okubega, we call it in our language here. Okubega, when we put something aside. We put aside something for the youth. We put aside something for the disabled.
The Minister of State for Gender and Culture, Honorable Peace Mutuzo, said that the forces and causes of disability are diverse and constitute a hindrance to accessing socio-economic development.
Your Excellency, the world population of persons with disabilities stands at approximately 1 billion people, while in Uganda, the population housing census of 2014 puts the population of persons with disabilities at 4.3 million people.
The chairperson of the National Union of Disabled People of Uganda, NUDIPU, Ms. Grace Knight, observed that the celebrations of the day constitutes recognition of the potential of people with disabilities to achieve great success in whatever they undertake, promotion of their cause, and drawing attention for all not to be discriminated against.
Ladies and gentlemen, the International Day for Persons with Disabilities is a United Nations sanctioned event that is celebrated internationally on the 3rd of December annually. This is a day intended, among others, and that's why we are here, to celebrate the extraordinary potentials, achievements, and contributions of persons with disabilities.
UBC TV, Harriet Nambi.
Meanwhile, the disabled community in Uganda has called on colleagues to desist from self-consolation and embark on what they can do best. The community, which also includes people living with albinism, prefers to champion the campaign against marginalization other than cry for over conditions they cannot change. This was met during the International Day for the Disabled, officiated by the President.
And who says that being created different is not interesting? With the presence of people like White Star, a musician from Kamwenge who is physically disabled, his ability to sing, dance, jump and run around is clear affirmation of the old adage that disability is not inability. This is proved further by this group of people living with albinism, led by Seziwa Paul from the Eastern District of Jinja. This was during International Day of People with Disabilities, celebrated in the Western District of Kamwenge under the theme, Employment of Persons with Disabilities, a Key to Sustainable and Resilient Society for All. Their message centered on marginalization, mistreatment, and misconception of their capacity.
That song has a message that disability is not inability. Even if somebody is lame or is blind or is an albino like me, he can do something good like any other so-called non people.
It is just part of the pains they have had to live with because of their outlook. But this is not about to deter them from championing campaigns against downgrading the disabled.
If you have low self-esteem, you will not come on board. You fight hard, you penetrate to enter or to join in all opportunities that are coming to you.
The Uganda National Population and Housing Census of 2014 put persons with disabilities at 4.4 million, constituting about 12% of Uganda's population. Disability, according to World Health Organization, refers to any reduction in the ability of a person to perform activities in a manner considered normal to a human being. This definition does not augur well with Babadiri Margaret, who cites her own example as a visually impaired woman, currently representing Koboko District in Parliament.
Persons with disability can do anything under heaven if they are well educated, given jobs, and well facilitated.
Kabuzi Jolly, the councillor people with disabilities in Barara District, carries the same example. She says she is able to run her projects even though she wishes she was not disabled.
If I'm not a disabled person, I know I could have managed to do many things, both in farming, in doing business, but sometimes my disability, sometimes not enabled.
The uniqueness that comes with disability is perhaps the reason that the community is calling for more funding grants to enable proper running of their projects.
It is true we have disabilities, but mentally we are very strong.
This is an important reminder that promoting employment for all will be essential if nobody is to be left behind.
Lack of provision of support services such as sign language interpreters, sighted readers and helpers to support effective performance of persons with disabilities at workplaces. Currently, persons with disabilities who are employed use their own meager salaries to pay for such support services.
Even when President Yoweri Museveni embraces support for the disabled, he underscores the need for prevention of more disabilities in the country.
We need to block all these sources of disability. Because I don't hear you talking about that. You are talking about managing the ones who are disabled now. How about blocking to make sure that we don't get any new, except accidents, of course. Accidents can happen, but even accidents are preventable. Even accidents, reckless driving and all that, all these are preventable. So that gradually the number of the disabled, the percentage will keep decreasing.
Failure to observe these is what leads to both natural and artificial disability, subjecting children and adults to unbearable pain. This leads us to the question of what it means to be born with disability, as we explore in our next episode on Tuesday. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now, fighting corruption in Uganda is still a challenge despite internal mechanisms put in place by ministries, departments and agencies. This underscores the need for a collective stand against the vice to curb the social-political effects that come with it. Inspector General of Government Irene Mulyagonja echoed the challenge where the hunters are being hunted while addressing journalists at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala.
Rampant corruption in the country is proving to be a hindrance to the development and attainment of national development goals. Reports have continued to indicate that the most popular form of corruption is the self-made corruption known as syndicate corruption, mainly in government institutions. This year's campaign, however, targets those institutions as they have been cited to be at the top in corruption.
The Special Investigations Unit. The Special Investigations Unit was established in August last year. It is dedicated to investigating cases of grand corruption, of syndicate corruption.
Despite several efforts and recommendations put in place to fight corruption, the syndicate corruption has become a problem since both the corrupt and victims work hand in hand.
How people in important positions where they have control of public resources then arrange themselves in such a way that they get those resources out of government and into their own pockets for their own use.
Corruption is said to undermine the right of access to free services, especially to the poor who cannot afford them. Several inspections done by the IGG's office in different parts of the country also pin police as the most corrupt institution in the land.
The community also alleged that they frequently offer bribes to the police to access their services.
This year's theme is restoring integrity in civil service, regaining public trust in the anti-corruption fight, and focus has been put on curbing corruption by educating civil servants about its effect and curbing maladministration.
It is for this reason that this year's campaign targeted the institutions of government that are meant to serve citizens by providing basic services which are affected by corruption when it continues to show up in processes of delivery of these crucial services.
Uganda is set to join the rest of the world in commemorating International Anti-Corruption Day on the 9th December 2017. Susan Naonga and Kenneth Mutanaba reporting.
Meanwhile, the General Court Martial has set the 12th and 18th December 2017 for the state to give their response on the bail applications of Senior Superintendent of Police Nixon Agasiwe and Commissioner of Police Joel Anguma. These and 7 others were in court today for the mentioning of their case and bail application hearing. Frank Kanduho, representing Nixon Agasiwe, informed court that the fact that they are uncertain when the trial will begin and when the state will finish its investigations, his client has a right to seek bail. He presented 5 sureties, including 3 police officers and 2 civilians. The prosecution rejected this bail application on grounds that it was filed late on Friday last week, not giving them enough time to prepare submissions. They prayed that the matter be pushed to the 18th December for the state to present their submissions. The state also asked court to submit rebuttals of, or rather on Joel Angoma's bail application on the 12th December 2017, which was granted. Prosecution alleges that Nixon Agasirwe and 8 others around the 25th day of October 2013 at Kamengo in Mpigi district, while in lawful possession of firearms and grenades, ordinarily a monopoly of the UPDF, conveyed Rwandan and Congolese nationals to their countries without their consent.
Accused number 9, Bahati Get orderly. Be orderly. And follow application. And my Lord Chairman, I know the court members, you will not have a separate trial for you. And you will be bound by that ruling.
Now, the Vice President, Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, has encouraged youth to get married upon finishing school and acquire companions, a move that will enable them to guard against promiscuity that can expose them to HIV/AIDS infection. The Vice President was speaking during the introduction ceremony of Hajara Nakazi, who brought her longtime friend Faisal Kalunji to her parents' home in Muwolo, Chesiga, Sub-County, Masaka District.
The Vice President, Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, has encouraged the youth to get married upon finishing school and acquire companions, a move that will enable them to guard against promiscuity, exposing them to HIV/AIDS infection. The Vice President was speaking during the introduction ceremony of Hajara Nakazi, who introduced her longtime friend, Faisal Kalunji, to her parents' home in Mololo, Chesiga Sub-County in Masaka District. The Vice President commended the groom and his entourage for exhibiting confidence and determination and for their sacrifice by turning up at his new parents' home, and expressed optimism of a cordial marriage hinged on strong love. The Vice President said that the new partnership, both from families, will further create cohesion and contribute to each other's well-being over time. Sekandi paid tribute to Abdul Nsubuga, father to the bride, for bringing up his children based on cultural, religious, and moral norms of society that has enabled them to settle into legitimate marriages to the satisfaction of relatives. He further commended him for his unique leadership skills that enabled Chesiga Sub-County to progress by implementing government programs like UPE, USE, Operation Wealth Creation, among others. Abdul Nsubuga, in his brief remarks, commended the Vice President from being a true friend to the family and setting aside valuable time to attend the introduction ceremony. He added that many people tend to forget their colleagues with whom they served in public leadership after the retirement of the former, and thanked the Vice President for standing out of the crowd. The ceremony was also addressed by the Masaka RDC Lieutenant Joy Walusimbi. Reporting for UBC TV News, Stephen Kanakulia, Sempa.
Now let's take a break. We return with more details. This is News Tonight. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us here on News Tonight. Nurses and midwives under the union body have threatened to take an industrial action. That's after government failed to implement their proposed schemes of service. A notice issued by Bukenya Paul Henry, the union's general secretary, in part reads that the set date for laying down their tools remains 5th December 2017, while passing out over 500 nurses in Kabale, Safina, Musene. The Commissioner Bitvet at the Ministry of Education and Sports urged nurses and midwives not to abandon their workstations but strive to reach an amicable solution with government.
Nurses and midwives under the umbrella body Ugandan Nurses and Midwives Union plan to take an industrial action this Tuesday after failure by government to show cause on their earlier set demands. This comes barely a week after doctors under their umbrella body Uganda Medical Association calling off their industrial action, which lasted for close to 3 weeks, with government promising to meet their demands. The commissioner Bitvet at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Safina Musene, however, urged nurses across the country not to abandon their patients because they were chosen by God to love and serve.
I've appreciated that we are still a third world country. We have limited resources. However, as nurses and midwives, and as they took their oath, we sacrifice for the patients. So we are encouraging them to serve the patients, because without the patient, then we cannot have nurses. But we encourage them to negotiate as they serve the patient, because that's the reason why they have been trained as nurses and midwives.
Yedida Bidibona Saintong, a retired nurse and senior educationist, associated herself with the nurses' cause, but urged them not to abandon the workplaces.
The doctors went on strike. The nurses remained in the hospitals serving. And up to now, they are there doing negotiations. We believe no nurse will strike. We are going to do negotiations, and government, we believe government will respect us for that, for not putting down our tools. We love humankind. We have been trained to preserve life.
She adds that poor remuneration has led to the increased numbers of brain drain in the nursing profession.
Nurses are running away for greener pastures. They are all over the world working out there. And Uganda's nurses and midwives are thoroughly trained. When they go out there, they are welcomed and they are paid very well. They have no reason to return. I have my colleagues whom I studied with at university. They are in Oman, they are the professors there, they are everywhere, they are in the US, they are working, they are in Kigali, and they are getting good pays.
At the event, Musene led over 500 freshly passed out nurses in the Nightingale Oath.
I fully acknowledge the seriousness of the responsibility that I accept in my calling and the significance of this pledge that I take today. So help me God, chosen by God to love and serve.
There you go now. A 14-member Civil Justice Reform Committee led by the Principal Judge has handed to the Chief Justice a report on the need to amend some rules of procedure to improve dispensation of justice to all. According to the Chairperson, Justice Yorokam Bamwine, the report presents proposals on selected areas that are currently a hotspot requiring urgent attention. Receiving the report, the Chief Justice Bahati Katurebe lauded to the team for the job well done and pledged to see full implementation of the recommendations.
Early this year, Chief Justice Bahati Katurebe formed a 14-member committee and tasked it to study the effectiveness of current rules of procedure in as far as dispensation of justice is concerned. Monday, the committee headed by Principal Judge Yorokam Bamwine, deputized by Justice Egonda Ntende, presented their findings and recommendations to better the judiciary's performance.
Whatever is here is contained in this forum. So, my Lord, I have the honor and privilege to hand over.
In its report, the committee suggested a number of recommendations, like the need for a robust case management with compulsory pre-trial hearing aimed at identifying and narrowing the issues and encouraging settlements through alternate dispute resolution. The report also suggests enhancement of powers of registrars to handle all preliminary matters and also close cases where parties literally forget about them.
We have in our system many cases where parties do do not know the status of their cases. But they still say they have cases. So the system will be weeding out all these cases if the recommendations are followed.
The committee has also suggested ways of trimming powers of litigants who at times indirectly affect the progress of court sessions. However, considering that not all delays in the system require amendment of legislation, the committee called for strict supervision of all judicial officers to check on vices like absenteeism and late coming.
Where people just come to court to apply for adjournment. Some lawyers do not even come to court. They send others to come and hold a brief, and the brief is to apply for adjournment. We are saying in the report, if you are not able to proceed as counsel, get another person to hold your brief, and the brief will be to proceed with the hearing of that matter and not to apply for adjournment. That's one of the recommendations in the report, and it will cut out most of the delays we've been seeing occasioned by lawyers who do not come to court, or when they come to court, they want to apply for adjournment.
Receiving the report, Chief Justice Bahati Turebe lauded the committee for the job well done and promised to do the needful.
The rules, we have found a solution, we shall amend them. If it is directions, the Chief Justice will give the necessary directions. The new innovations we are starting, like the automation of the courts, require a legal framework within which that will be done. This is also being proposed. So I think this is a firm start, it's a firm foundation we wish to start. I thank the committee once again.
The committee focused on areas like public interest litigation, amicus curiae, representative actions, judicial review, adjournments and integration of e-justice in the administration of justice, among others. Report compiled by Dorcas Kimono for UBC News.
And the Minister of State for Finance, David Bahati, has reiterated government's obligation to support and recognize born-again churches in the country. Bahati was representing the First Lady Janet Museveni during celebrations to mark the Wempe revival in Uganda at Namirembe Christian Fellowship. Let's take a look.
This was the mood at Namirembe Christian Fellowship during the activities to end the celebrations of the Wempe revival in Uganda. Believers across the country thronged the church where the revival started in 1977 to pray, worship, praise, and seek God's protection in the next 40 years. Representing the First Lady Janet Museveni at the celebrations, the Minister of State for Finance, David Bahati, applauded Professor Simeon Kaiwa's legacy of the Wempe revival, which has transformed lives of millions in the world. He asked the church to preach the gospel of God, coupled with peace, love, development, and prosperity.
We have seen miracles. We have seen people who have been condemned by doctors here. We have seen the poor turn into millionaires.
Bahati also said that government will continue supporting the born-again churches in all aspects. The founder of the Wempe revival in Uganda, Professor Simeon Kaiwa, said that since its inception, the revival has done wonders and miracles worldwide.
A time of recognition by the Constitution, and also to a time of free conversion or converting of people to God. That's a big achievement, and there are so many pastors who are all over in the world changing the lives of people.
Professor Kaiwa also prophesied that in the next 40 years of the Wempe revival, many people will turn to God. He advised church leaders to love one another and preach the true gospel of Jesus.
The people should not go on sweating small stuff in a desire to make themselves look different from others. The most important thing is not who they are, but who Jesus is. So the point in sweating small stuff against one another, it doesn't make it.
The first Kiwempe church in Kaiwa village after he received a calling from God. The revival has given birth to millions of born-again churches worldwide. Abraham Braita, UBC News.
Now, sadly, two 18-year-old boys are stuck in Kampala at the Uganda Cancer Institute, Mulago, without treatment and caretakers. Robinson March from Otuke needs 15 million shillings, while Pius Elnat from Bale District is seeking 3 million shillings for treatment of lymphoma cancer. The duo claims their parents do not afford the treatment fee and upkeep in Kampala. They have appealed to sympathizers to help them with money for treatment. Let's take a look.
I'm called at Elnat Pius. I come from Bale District. My problem is that I'm a patient of cancer. They were here, the biopsy here, and then they had to test. And then from there, they told that I have cancer. I decided here. But that thing, it had even affected here. I've seen this side here, and then also here, the armpits here, and then also here, both of the legs. They asked me, at Mulago Cancer Institute, they asked me the 2 million. A 2 million for this treatment here, but if anybody is willing to help me, I say, but you can call on this contact. It's 07 51 87 10 38.
My name is Robinson. I'm suffering of lymphoma cancer. At the time I reached Mulago, and then the people in Mulago, they not accept for that result. They cut the biopsy again. Yeah. So from there, they confirm again, they find that I have the lymphoma cancer. The money which is needed is 15 million, but my parents, they don't have that money. So I'm requesting for anybody which will assist me with those money to assist me in this number 078 35 8 11 72. My name is Robinson. I have the parents, but they don't have the money for.
We hope that they can get the help they need. Let's take a break. We return with business news. You are still watching News Tonight. A section of local farmers from central, eastern, western and northern regions of the country have welcomed the support of Korea Simol Udong Center. The chairperson of Mwanga Simol Udong farmers in Mityana district, Joseph Musoke, said that the funding of Korea Simol Udong Center has changed the farmers' mindset by engaging in commercial agriculture. Musoke was at the first annual Korea Simol Udong General Meeting held in Kampala with the aim of sharing farming ideas and experiences.
Over the past 9 years, selected farmers from central, eastern, western and northern regions of the country have been flying to South Korea for training about the model of Samuel Udong. At the first annual general meeting organized by Korea Samuel Udong, Joseph Musoke, the chairperson of Mwanga Samuel farmers in Mityana district, said the support of Korea Samuel Udong Center has changed the farmers' mindset by realigning them to commercial agriculture.
Right now we can see factories. Now actually in each of all those villages we have maize factories, we have maize mills, we have carpentry workshop, we have welding workshops and training centers. We also have community halls built in all those villages. But also we have like a cassava making, we have soap making. So we have things which have really drastic change.
Edward Mugenyi, a coordinator of Samuel Udong in Kayunga district, says the model has built confidence among farmers, which has enabled them to scale up their outputs.
Mindset change for everybody now in Kayunga. People were under poor scales, but now they are getting richer and richer. At least their families now have what to earn.
Professor Sokin Kwang says Samuel Udong Community Development Program helped Korea to move from a poor nation in 1950s to a prosperous nation after it had adopted the program in the 1960s.
So, Korean government was also very poor at the time not to support rural development project fully. So, Korean government decided to mobilize people's capacity and internal resources from rural societies. And then at the beginning, Korean government just provided a scanty of construction materials to support Semaul, and then merged nearly all the rural development programs into one Semaul.
Asampta Ikiriza, a technical advisor from the Ministry of Local Government, says the project is streamlined with government's vision of acquiring middle-income status by 2020. This project was first piloted in Maracha district in 2009 and later on spread out to the districts of Luka, Tororo, and Kabale, among others. Story compiled by Joseph Okou for UBC News.
A pioneer social media application purposely aimed at promoting Africa has been launched in Uganda. The dareplaces.com application is the product of Dare Group of Companies International Limited and will help market Uganda's social, economic and political capabilities. The group's managing director, Matthias Magola, explains how the application will work. We'll take a look.
The process is officially launched.
Well, it is necessary because it's the first platform on African continent. I'll give you an example. When you go to China, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Google, you can't use any other platform. They have their own. And I'm telling you, their own, which is 10 cents, has hit the level of volume of Africa, the companies in the US. It has just hit 500 billion when it comes to the valuation, which they just received, I think 2 weeks ago. So what are we saying? The platforms that are there do not take care of the interests of the African people. They take care of their own interests. So for us, we are coming to take care of the interests of the African people. That's why we invest a lot of money in this.
Elsewhere in the world, the United Kingdom Engineering Brigade has been commended for their dedicated service in South Sudan. The 100 troops, including 41 female personnel, engaged themselves in drainage works, construction of perimeter security structures, as well as helicopter landing sites.
The United Kingdom Engineering Contingent serving with the United Nations Mission in South Sudan, UNAMIS, were honored with the medal parade ceremony for their work helping build a safe and peaceful environment for internally displaced persons. Surrounded by vast amounts of land abandoned by civilians who fled their homes because of fighting, the UK contingent camp is located inside the UNAMIS base in Malakal and bordered by the UN protection of civilians site where civilians have sought refuge. A few of these residents stood on the hilltops across the barbed wire and looked on as the ceremony got underway.
UNMISS is a worthy mission in a country that has seen so much tragedy, where tens of thousands have lost their lives. I'm proud that the United Kingdom is doing its bit to enable the mission to protect hundreds of thousands of civilians and help build a durable peace in South Sudan.
Their 100 engineers have served in Malakai and Bentiu in the north of the country since July, and they will end their tour of duty in 2 months' time. Despite challenges caused by war and weather, the troops have carried out significant infrastructure work vital to the mission, including camp construction, building drainage systems and perimeter security structures, as well as helicopter landing sites. Lieutenant George Gibson says, though this does not seem to be so glamorous of jobs, but is confident that they have made a big improvement to the people that live here. The head of UNAMIS awarded the UN peacekeeping medals to troops, including their commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Katie Hislop.
Recognise the commendable efforts here on your parade and honour your dedicated service to South Sudan. You proudly represent the UK's contribution to our mission. I think you can wear those medals with pride and know that you have contributed to your country's contribution to us all here.
The United Kingdom has nearly 700 uniformed personnel deployed within UN missions across the world. Its contribution to UNAMIS is its largest, with nearly 400 troops, including 41 female personnel, serving in Juba, Bentiu and Malakal. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC News.
Brought to you by
In the world of sports, CECAFA Senior Challenge defending champions Uganda Cranes started their title defense on a slow after being held to a goalless draw by Burundi in the opening Group B match at Bukungu Stadium in Kakamega on Monday afternoon. The Burundians executed a perfect strategy to defend in numbers and attack on the counter, especially in the second half when the game picked up in a pace a bit. We have the story.
The game between Uganda up against Burundi's up. That is Wadada. Well, easily cleared away for a throw-in. It's going to be the first throw into the game. Wadada miscuing that. Force away now. Here comes Karisa. Karisa trying to man his way through. Very good skills and picks up a free kick there. That is Karisa. Well, Karisa, sharp man, does play his game of football down at Vipers. That is Karisa.
From Timothy Awani, 39th minute disallowed goal. The first half didn't provide much excitement in front of goal as both teams failed to create meaningful scoring opportunities. The only shot on target in the entire opening 45 minutes was Katerega's shot from the range, which sailed comfortably into Burundi goalkeeper Jonathan Nahimana's arms. Midfielders Tadao Luanga and Alan Katerega have been handed their first Uganda Cranes debuts against Burundi. Benjamin Ochan started in goal ahead of injured Ismail Watenga and Tom Ikara, with usual suspects Nicholas Wadada and Isaac Muleme starting at right and left back respectively, while Timothy Awani and Bernard Muwanga started at the heart of defense. Debutant Luanga shielded the back four with Muzamiri Mutaiba and Alan Chambade, as well as Katerega in the middle, while Derek Nsibambi led the striking line assisted by Milton Kalisa. However, Uganda Cranes coach Moses Basena is still optimistic that Uganda Cranes has what it takes to defend the CECAFA Senior Challenge title. Uganda are current Senior CECAFA Challenge Cup champions, having won the trophy for a record 14th time in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 2014. The two-week event that kicked off on Sunday will climax on December 17th. Apart from hosts Kenya, Libya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, Zanzibar, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda are the participating nations. For UBC, Banadiga and Helen Barbara.
A three-day sports administrators course organized by Uganda Olympic Committee has climaxed. The 48 participants were tutored on Olympic backgrounds, values and issues in Olympics and how to manage skills, environment, resources and sports activities. The main tutor, Lawrence Kavuma, talks the benefits and how these participants will facilitate a trickle-down effect for better sports management.
course has centered, and the course was organized specifically for the executives of the clubs and federations. So we have equipped them with skills that enable them to manage their Olympic sport organizations. They can do decision making now, they can manage sponsorship, they can also manage other activities that are related to sport. For instance, if they are taking athletes outside, what are they supposed to do? We have heard of scenarios that end up with our athletes not coming back. So these are some of the issues that we have tipped to them, and we hope at the end of everything they will be able to manage their clubs very efficiently.
Going forward, what are you preparing for them for continuity purposes?
Well, after this one, of course, this is the first stage. Then after this, we come to the advanced diploma in sport management. Those who perform very well, of course, they come back and do the advanced diploma in sport management. And then those who excel, we normally secure scholarships.
State Minister for Higher Education John Muyingo has tasked residents of Bamunanika to ensure they identify talent from the 2017 Muyingo Cup. The minister, who is also the area member of parliament, was at the launch of the tournament hosted at Kalagala sub-county ground. Muyingo says sports globally is a big economic venture that Uganda is yet to benefit from, largely due to negligence born from ignorance of facts. Muyingo reminds residents that the 60 million he has injected in sports is what was given by Parliament to members to purchase vehicles. The 40 million balance, he says, will go towards building a market in the area to aid development. The tournament will run for 3 months and has entered 12 teams, with others expected to register later. And that does sum it up. Thank you for watching News Tonight. Jonano Pori is our sign language interpreter. I'm Rhoda Ngonzi. Good night.